All right, Jay, I'm going to go ahead and bring you up as my first guest. Alrighty, Jay, how's it going?
Good.
All right, Jay, are you over 18 and do you think you could give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Oh yeah. And yeah.
All right, sure, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and put 15 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and let me know what you think that good reason is.
Well, without God, that by definition means you make yourself God, which Nietzsche talked about. And without God, all you're left is nihilism and the material. So if something's not going good in your life,
Mhm.
if you lose your money, bad relationship, you might not get out of that. But if there's something beyond you, then you might be able to transcend the physical state you have in this world.
Okay, that really, I mean, so your argument is that if we don't believe in God, we could end up being depressed.
No, that's all there's left to do. It's not could, it's must.
No, it's not must
Because like,
because I don't believe in God and I've been through some pretty terrible things. I'm not depressed. I just went to therapy.
well, why are you conflating therapy on the same level of fix as God?
I'm not conflating them as the same level. What I'm saying is that your premise is incorrect because you can go through terrible, horrible things and still come out the other side being fine. You don't have to believe in God to in order to for that to happen. You can have resilience without it.
Oh, you could have resilience, but you'll fall on your face because some things are just beyond you. And a lot of atheists can't grasp that.
But I didn't fall on my face. I'm still fine. I'm okay. Like I went through depression both when I believe and didn't believe, and I'm still okay. Like believing in God didn't take me out of my depression. Not believing in God didn't put me deeper. So the premise is flawed.
Look, no, that's not because you just subscribed depression. You just basically made the clinical psychiatric field God in that last sentence.
No, I
You don't
didn't.
have depression, you might be down, but you just basically said God doesn't exist, but this thing called depression does.
That's not what I
Prove to
said.
me depression exists.
That's not what I said.
You did. You appealed to this thing, this immaterial thing called depression.
No, you said that without believing in God, then when we go through things, the only thing that's left is to be depressed. And I said that's not necessarily true.
Well, there's some gap then because you kind of just admitted that when you went through that depression, you acknowledged you acknowledged the clinical um, psychiatric authority. You believe that depression is real, yet you can't see it, feel it, touch it, measure it. But then you want
You can feel
to,
depression. You can feel depression. Like your brain actually changes when you are depressed.
some people say your brain changes when you feel God, but most people like to call that religious psychosis.
Right. It's not.
And
This
I
is.
just find it interesting.
Right. I'm talking
I,
about
I'm,
like.
I'm just saying,
I'm talking about when you're depressed, you can actually see like changes in your brain, like chemicals and stuff like that change. That happens when people believe in God as well, right? But what I'm saying is that those like neurons firing, those different chemicals that happen when someone is after getting the Holy Ghost or they're euphoric or praying or anything like that, that happens in under like other certain conditions. So that's why people would say that that's not necessarily God causing it. That's you yourself causing it, right? Same thing with depression. But like we can actually see your brain states change under depression, just like how we can see your brain states change when someone's at church or when they're at a Beyonce concert. You see what I'm saying? So it's all just brain states. We know depression exists because of things like that, right? I'm not saying that depression exists, the God doesn't exist. I'm saying that your premise that if we don't believe in God, therefore the only thing left is not caring about anything anymore and being depressed is just untrue. Because there are plenty of atheists who don't believe in God and still care deeply about things, right?
no, you can't.
Why not?
And I again, I want to hammer on this point. You right now You're appealing to the authority of the psychiatric field.
I am not.
You're
You're
basically
not
placing
answering.
it
Hold
as a
on,
god in
hold on,
this
Jay.
argument.
Jay, you're really not answering the question. You just keep saying that I can't care about things if I don't believe, and when I ask you why not, you jump to something else. Why can I not be a human and not believe in a God? Because caring about things is literally just human nature. So why can't I do that not believing in a God?
Because if you're atheist, you reject your humanness. You literally chalk it up to chemicals in your brain causing mood changes when
No,
it's a spiritual thing.
no, I don't. Well, that's one. Number one, that's a claim. That's not evidence. But number two, I'm not denying humanity when if I not of not believing in a God. I don't. Nothing changes. You're still a human, but only thing that you're saying is that you're attributing humanness to something spiritual, but we cannot prove something spiritual exists. So why would we do that?
Well, I, again, though, you're saying we, but again, you're appealing to the conventional wisdom of psychology and psychiatry today, and you're going, and I know that my views differ from that, but again, you're still standing on this ground, basically going, well, it's the authorities, the mind experts disagree with your claim of theism.
That's not what
So
I
whether
said.
you
That's not what I said. I said you cannot prove
Sure, but
something
the empty
spiritual
conclusion
exists.
is that.
What I'm saying is that you cannot prove something spiritual exists.
Well, in the material world, I guess that's fair.
All right, but can you show a spiritual world exists at all?
Uh, yeah, I could.
Okay, how?
Most people,
What's the evidence?
um, most people would believe in other stuff like love. That is, most people believe in love for a good example. That's not really evolutionary in any way. It's, under the atheist world, it's best to just be cutthroat. So is love a glitch? What would you say about love?
Love helps us survive, just like most of all our other traits. Love helps us
But
reproduce.
I'm saying when you like if a person looks at their mother and they feel love for her, is that just chemical? Is that just dopamine in the brain, or is that real love?
It's,
Because if
it's,
you don't believe in spirit,
it's
you're just
dopamine.
gonna have to say chemicals.
It's dopamine. Yeah, it's dopamine. That doesn't make it not real.
Okay, but if I was to then tell you, go look your mother in the face and say, I don't love you, I'm just tricked by the chemicals, you would have a resistance like most people because there is something within us that doesn't want to just blatantly, and haphazardly harm people just for shits and gigs.
Yeah, we don't want to harm other people because we live in a social. We're a social species. So antagonizing your neighbors is not a good way for us to get along and survive. So there'll be no reason for me to do that. To me, tell my mother that I don't love her. Of course, I want to tell my mother that because I actually do love her. Despite love just being a dopamine chemical, that doesn't mean it's any less meaningful.
Well, it has to be less meaningful if there's no free will, there's no spirit,
No, it
nothing
doesn't.
attached. We're just basically the most civilized robots there are today.
But that doesn't take away free will at all. What do you mean?
Well, if we don't feel love for anything and it's just chemicals and our
We do feel
personalities
love.
and
The love that we feel is dopamine. That's what we describe as love.
is it yeah, but that dopamine is just a feel good hormone, and if you take that away, is there no more love?
No, love still exists because it's still in you, right? You still have the dopamine. You still have the emotion. Emotions happen
What
in your
about
brain.
okay, what about ADHD people? Can they have love
Of course they can.
when they have a deficiency by definition?
They don't have any type of deficient. That's not what ADHD is. They don't have a deficient in their of
How
emotions.
about bipolar people who
Yeah,
sometimes go through periods of not mania but the opposite, I forget, hypomania or something.
hypermania. Exactly. They still have emotions, bro. They still have emotions. There are barely
But under
anybody on this planet that have no emotions. The only people on this planet that have no emotions are people who have ASPD. Those are the only ones. And even them, they can probably have emotions. There's just something like their brain didn't map the way the rest of our brains map. But even people who have ASPD can have emotions, right? Like we all have emotions.
Prove to me that emotions exist.
Yeah, sure. You could look at like brain mapping experiments. You can also look at experiments of when scientists actually prodded some parts of the brain. They found that that person actually felt a certain type of emotion, like anger or sadness. Certain parts of your brain light up when you feel a certain emotion. That's evidence that it happens in the brain and that it exists.
But now you're pivoting to the authority of the scientists, which, if we go back to the first thing I said you would make yourself God if you're atheist. What I really mean is you just put a bunch of idols, or even yourself, above everything. You worship yourself and these idols, these science, these people, these passions. That's what I mean, and that's what you've done again.
That's really not an answer to my question. You asked me to prove that emotions exist, and I told you that yeah, there are tons of experiments and instruments that can measure your brain and certain emotions light up. When a person feels a certain thing, they a certain parts of their brain light up, showing that that part of the brain is responsible for that emotion. Certain chemicals happen in the brain. That's how we know that that certain chemical is responsible for that emotion. They've even prodded some parts of the brain with electricity, and that person had that emotion when they didn't have it before, like fear or anything else, right? So that's how we know what happens in the brain. When you ask me for evidence, I'm telling you these are the evidence, and you're saying you're making yourself God. That doesn't respond to what I said.
No, no, no. I'm saying, why are you relying on these so-called experts? You are inadvertently putting them in a place of authority, and we don't know this.
Yeah, we
We
do
just
know
know
this.
this is what the elitist scientists at these.
How do you explain that when they charge a certain part of your brain with electricity, a person felt a certain emotion? How do you explain that if it didn't happen in the brain?
No, I'm saying your conventional wisdom
No,
you're using,
listen
you're
to my
relying on.
question. I need you to actually
On the
engage in the
influence of
conversation.
teachers.
I need you to actually engage in the conversation because you're not actually answering anything. When scientists hooked people up to a machine and they prodded a certain part of the brain, the person felt fear, anger, love, lust, etc., etc. They felt certain emotions when they prodded certain parts of their brain with electricity, showing that emotion comes from the brain. How would you address that?
Well, I never said it didn't come from the brain. I said you're using these scientists who are funded at these big institutions by what? What gets science publicized? Finances, not truth. So you're just appealing to the most socially acceptable, biggest money
This still
funded
doesn't
form of
address anything I
science.
said. Jay, I'm gonna need you to actually engage in the conversation because you're skipping over everything that I said. If emotions is not something that happens in the brain, how would you explain what I just said? How would you explain it?
Dude, this is your third time asking me a bad question.
It's not a bad
Because I
question.
never said they didn't come from the brain.
Okay, so it does come from the
I
brain.
didn't say
Great.
they
So
didn't come from
emotions
the
come from
brain.
the brain. So when you ask me to prove that emotions exist and I'm saying all these things, why'd you just skip over all that and move to something else? Emotions come from your brain. You will also agree. Great. Now where are we? Because we know emotions come from the brain now. So now where are we?
Okay, when you say a human has a reaction to these experiments you just mentioned, how can you be sure that that is even an emotion if we're going to go there? Because if I hit a plant, does a plant feel bad?
A
How
plant doesn't
can
have the
you
neurons for emotions. A plant doesn't have the brain
quantify this
chemistry.
emotion in a
No,
material world?
plants do not have the neurochemistry for emotion. Humans do, animals do.
Are we the same as animals?
We are animals. Do you know what the definition of an animal is? Something that
Not a
ingests
human.
something that ingests and digests cells and has metabolism. Do you ingest cells and have metabolism?
I don't agree with that definition. The real definition of an animal
That's
is
not the
being led purely by instincts.
that's not the definition of an animal.
You're broadening definition
I
to
didn't brought
include
anything. That's
humans.
literally the scientific definition. You want me to
The
put it on the
scientific
screen?
who?
You want me to put it on the screen?
Are we talking? Who came up with this definition?
Biologists
$65 billion
can
Yale?
biologists came up with this definition. Biologists are not paying
Look,
$65 billion a year. That's stupid.
No, I'm saying all the so-called credible science is from major
You need to pray for your Wi-Fi,
institutions.
Jay.
It's just what got money funded into it. It's not the abject truth.
Are you seriously saying that biologists are just
I
getting
mean, I
funded
don't
to make fake shit? Are
know.
you serious right now? If the entire field of biology was just a bunch of fake shit, do you know how much people would die from that?
I didn't
Because we need medicine, don't we? This is stupid.
say
Pray for your Wi-Fi, my friend.
this.
Hey,
Not your turn yet. All right, Jay, we're at 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I do appreciate you a bit on being up. All right, Nas, you are going to be next, and then God is Great, you're going to be right after Nas, all right? Nas, that's actually a really good name. That's my favorite rapper. Actually, one of my favorite rappers. All right, Nas, how's it going? You were saying that Jesus is Lord in the conversation. That's
Yes.
cool. All right, so I'm assuming that you believe in some sort of God. Uh, Go
Correct.
ahead and tell me why should can you give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yes. But before we get to that point, can I ask you, have you always been atheist? Or like what made you be atheist? Or
I
agnostic?
I
I'm
figured
not sure which one.
I'm an agnostic atheist. I figured that I had no reason to actually believe it. I was a Bible believing Christian all the way up until I was about 26 or 27, so about 10 years ago.
What made you change? Like what led you to just thinking that there's no God or
There
there's
were
no reason?
things that always bothered me about it. But I was a type of person where I actually wanted to prove it that it was true, that it was correct. So I did some research. I was looking for evidence that the Bible is true and correct. I found that a lot of it is either untrue or there is not really any evidence that it is true. And there's really not a good reason to believe it other than people said, oh, there was not a good reason for me to believe it other than I was just raised in it.
Was it like people testing your faith, like trying to tell you it's not real and
No,
things like that?
I think the first test of it was not really even a test, but the first thing that made me actually think of it was when a professor of mine actually pointed something out to me. He said to me that you told me what you believe, but you haven't told me why you believe it. And when I realized I never actually asked myself that question, I never asked myself why do I actually believe this. And I'm a type of person that was very inquisitive. I always wanted to believe as many true things as possible. So I started doing my research to because I said this is something I've been raised in. My parents always taught me this, so it has to be right. And then I did my research and found out a lot of it probably isn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with seeking the truth. And if you ask God questions and things like that, I mean, obviously I'm not saying you didn't, but I'm just talking right now. If you ask God questions, he like he's not gonna rebuke you for asking questions and seeking to find answers. And obviously, I know you said you did that, but it says in the Bible, seek and you shall find, ask and the door shall be open. But I just want to say, I'm just going to get to the point. The evidence of God's reality is that we're here. You and me, we came from, obviously, we were created because, I mean, I know you were speaking to the other guy about biology and science, and science tries to explain away with a lot of things, but if you really think about it, there's too much order for there to just to be us coming from matter and energy, you could say. What do you think about that?
What when you say order, and you said like we're not just are you saying that we're not just matter and energy? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said that there's too much order in the world for it just to come about from matter and energy.
When you say order in the world, what do you mean by that?
I mean, you, me, trees, free will, conscience, all of these things demand a creator.
No, they don't,
What makes you say that? Why do you feel like that?
because all of them can be explained by natural means.
Yeah, I mean, I said they can be explained away. Scientists try to explain away a lot of things, but I believe at the end of the day, there's two groups of people. Either you, either you believe or you don't believe. But those two things leads down two different eternals, because this life is short, but eternity is forever.
That
And
doesn't tell
you
me
think,
anything.
basically, you think after this life, it just lights out.
Lights up. We die. That's it.
So if you have that worldview, there's no hope for the person that's struggling with depression.
Yes,
There's
there
no
is.
hope with the person that's struggling with suicide.
Yes, there is.
There's no hope for the person that's battling all these
Yes, there is.
battles. What's the hope?
The hope is to keep living the next day. Just because
That's
we
not hope.
just be yes it is just because I have it. I want to live the next day. So why would it not be?
So what about all the people? So when you go to funerals, you say that that person, that family member, that friend is permanently in a box.
They're dead.
And there's no hope
That's
for
it.
him.
What do you mean any hope? He's dead. Why would there be any hope for them?
Do you see like how scary that is?
Yeah, it is. So
Would you like me to tell you a hope? Because the truth is that there is hope. There is life after death. There
why
is a
why?
heaven and hell.
I mean, life after death sounds torturous. Like living forever. That's pretty. It's pretty torturous. That doesn't give me hope at all. But when you talk about there's hope for life after death, why should we even care about that? Why is that even a thing we should care about?
We should care about it because if you think that this life is the biggest thing that God has to offer, then you are greatly mistaken. Because I mean, you can clearly see in this life we face
I
many
mean, here's the
trials.
problem, Nas. Here's the problem, Nas. You're just assuming God exists first. You have to show that actually true.
Okay, I'm gonna be straight up and like straightforward with you. The only way you can know if God exists if you are encountered by him. I don't believe in God because I looked into the science and the evidence. I mean, obviously there's people that do believe in God because of that, but that's definitely not why I believe in God. And if you want to find somebody that has like all this science and all the undeniable proof or this or that, then by any means go for it. But I'm just
There's
gonna
no
be straight
science
up.
for it. I'm telling you. But when you say that an encounter with God, how do you know that you had an encounter? Which God? The Christian one?
The only God, Jesus Christ.
How'd you know you had an encounter with that God and not Olodumare?
By who?
How did you know? How do you know that you had an encounter with that God and not Olodumare?
Because there's only one God. Jesus says,
Yeah,
am
there
the way
is Olodumare. That's the one God.
Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Nah, he was
No
lying. It's
man,
Olodumare.
no man can come to the Father
Yeah,
but
and
by
he was wrong. He was lying. It's Olodumare.
and the way he actually backed up his claim is by dying on the cross and actually raising.
He didn't. That's a lie. Olodumare is the only one who lives forever.
And all the other so-called gods, those are demons.
No, they're not. Oh, it's Jesus that's a demon. Olodumare is the good is the God. I don't think you realize what I'm doing here, Nas. You're simply making a claim, and I'm making another claim. None of us can prove what we're saying. Because hold on, Nas. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a time machine?
Yeah. No.
So how can you know that Jesus actually rose from the dead? How do you know that?
How do I know that? Because
It's in the Bible?
First, correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Bible is
So
not
here's
one.
here's the problem. Here's the problem.
66
Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
The Bible is not the only holy text, is there? It's not even the oldest one. There are holy texts that came out before the Bible. So how is the Bible the correct one, and the ones that came before it are wrong?
Because when you look at actually hold up before I get to that.
No.
tell me which
Answer that.
holy text you're referring to.
The Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita came out 5,000 years before the Bible came out.
Is that what religion is that?
Hinduism. Hinduism is way
Okay,
older
okay.
than Hinduism is way older than Christianity. Hinduism started at least 2,000 years before Abraham was born. So why were they wrong? Hold on, wait. Why are they wrong, but Abraham was right?
Okay, correct. So just because something is And I'm gonna get to your point. I'm answering right now. Just because something is older does not mean it's more right, and just
Correct.
because something is newer doesn't mean it's right. So you
Correct.
have to look at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
evidence.
correct. You're 100% correct.
Evidence.
No, you're 100% correct. We have to look at the
Okay,
evidence.
okay.
Hold on, we'll look at the
Can I
evidence. Hold on, wait. We have to look at
hold
the
on?
evidence, and the Bhagavad Gita, the
I
Torah,
have to answer it.
Taoism, Shintoism, and the Bible have zero evidence. Not something not
That's
verifiable.
okay. Let me get to my point. So when you look at Islam, Hinduism, all these other religions, obviously they have their own quote unquote holy books, right? But only one can be right because there's only one objective truth.
Okay,
There's not.
so hold on, Nas.
There's
Let,
not
let me
two.
let me let me show, let me point to you a mistake that you made. Yeah, it's true that not all of them can be right, but guess what? All of them can be wrong.
I know. I was just about to get to that
Yeah.
point. I'm
So
saying
but hold on, but you had said you said that only one of them can be right. That's incorrect.
either
All of them. Hold
either
on. Wait.
one of
Listen.
them
Wait. You
one of
said
them
one of.
is
You
right
said
or all
you.
of them
Hold
are
on,
wrong.
bro. You said only one of them can be right, but that's wrong. All of them can be wrong.
I know. If you let me finish, I was gonna say either one of them is right or all of them are wrong.
No,
And
no,
to
no, no,
find out which one,
no, and incorrect. All of them can be wrong,
I just said that either one of them is right or all of them is wrong because they cannot all be right.
and they
So
can
if
all be wrong. So
I
one of them
just
doesn't
said
have to
that,
be. What I'm saying is, you said that one of them has to be right or all of them are wrong.
I
That's
said
incorrect.
or all of them are wrong. One of them is either right or all of them is wrong.
Or all of them are just wrong.
Yes.
Okay,
And
cool.
the way to find out if it's right is by taking the evidence of in the evidence of the Bible, the way Jesus lived, the way he taught, the way he died, loving and forgiving his enemies, and the way he rose from the dead 3 days later points to his reliability.
But brother, that's just a story. We have no idea if that's true or
It's
not.
not okay. Let me
Okay,
actually
because hold on, Nas, you just said that you can't go back in time. So how do you know that actually happened? It's just a story. It's just something that happened in a
how do
book.
you know George Washington really lived?
Because we actually have his body. We can cross reference his writings. We know people that's actually spoke to him. We have interviews him. We actually he's the one who actually wrote certain things. We have his signature, et cetera, et cetera. There are plenty of things we can cross reference. We actually have paintings of
Okay,
him
good.
that hold on. We actually have paintings of him that are contemporary, meaning that the people who were there who saw him made the paintings. We have his teeth. We actually have verifiable data that George Washington was a real person. You can go to his house right now. You see what I'm saying? So like these are not the same thing. When it comes what you would like to use is someone like Caesar, because Julius Caesar, we don't really have his body. We kind of know the area where he was buried, but we don't have his body. But Julius Caesar, what we can use for Julius Caesar is contemporary things. For example, Egyptian or Persian or Greek writings who said that Caesar was a person. We have his coins. We have other writings from around the area, around contemporary times. That's what we want to use. When it comes to Jesus, what we have is Josephus and Tacitus. Those people came out decades after Jesus. There's nothing contemporary during the time Jesus lived that we can say that this person actually existed. The closest we have is Tacitus, and that's even disputed a little bit. But I'm not denying that Jesus was an actual person. He could have existed. The issue is
So
his
you
super.
believe
Hold on,
that
wait,
he
listen.
existed?
The issue. Hold on, listen. The issue is his superpowers. That cannot be verified because you know who else was claimed to have superpowers? Julius Caesar. They said Julius Caesar came down from heaven and he was the son of Jupiter.
Who said
We
that?
know that. Hold on, listen. We know that's not true. So like when it comes to like historical figures, sure, Jesus probably existed. I have no problem with that. The issue is the superpowers. We don't have a time machine. We can't go back to see it. So unless you have some way to verify that this Jesus person had supernatural powers, there's no reason to believe it. How do you verify that?
Okay, so I'm gonna start with by saying the Bible. First off, you have to know that the Bible is not one book. It is 66 books, 40 different authors in 1,500 years. It's people from a whole bunch of different continents who didn't even
Irrelevant.
see the past
Irrelevant. How do
Hold
you
up, hold
actually
up.
verify that Jesus had superpowers? Everything you're saying is irrelevant.
I'm getting there.
No. Don't get there. Just tell me. How do you verify it?
I'm literally explaining.
No,
I'm
no, no.
explaining.
The Bible being written by a whole bunch of people doesn't verify that Jesus has superpowers. It doesn't.
And just because you have George Washington's dentures does not mean he really existed.
Yes, it does.
That could be anybody's dentures.
No, it can't.
So the government.
It's
doesn't
verified
take
that it's his dentures. It's verified.
You believe everything the government says.
It's not what the government says. It's historical basis, historical facts. What are we talking about here, bro? Like you realize there are certain things that historians have to do to actually verify something, right? When it comes to Jesus, the only thing that verified him was Tacitus and Paul. Paul said he met James, the brother of Jesus, and Tacitus says that there are people who worship them, and that he died on the
500
cross.
Eyewitnesses.
No, there were 500 eyewitnesses. Give me one of the documents outside the Bible that actually proves that the 500 saw him, other than the Bible. Can you do that?
There's no way you're asking for a document in the 1st century. What are you talking about?
There are documents from the 1st century.
So you believe somebody wrote down?
Yes. If someone
that's
actually,
the whole
if
point.
someone actually, if someone were to actually, hold on, listen. If someone were to actually rise from the dead today, you'll be damn sure that there's going to be some sort of document about it. You're saying that back then, in this culture, someone actually rose from the dead, and no one wrote about it, but it was written 30 years later in a book.
Not in a book, by the word of God. And actually,
You're
let
assuming
me-
that to be
let me
true.
actually
How do you
read you
actually
this.
verify that?
Yeah, I'm about to. Look, right here. Hold up. Let me find it real quick. Hold up. Give me 2 seconds.
Actually, I can't give you 2
Okay,
seconds because
right
we're
here.
out of time.
It says,
I'm going to give you about 5 more minutes.
I appreciate it. All right, it says, this is 2 Peter 2:16. This is going to explain everything. Just listen. It
Bro,
says,
no. You can't use the Bible to prove the Bible. That's nonsense.
It's literally, again, you're thinking it's one book. It's not one book.
It doesn't matter if it's one book or 1,000. It's all in the Bible. You cannot use the Bible to prove the Bible. That's nonsense.
Can I just read it?
No. How do you actually verify that Jesus had superpowers? You just can't say this Bible verse says something. Who cares? How do you
verify it by
actually
having faith.
Okay, faith is not reliable. Do you know why faith is not reliable?
Why?
Do you believe in Zeus?
Those are actually fallen angels.
That's not what I asked you. Do you believe that Zeus was an actual god that was striking down lightning to the ground in ancient times? Do you actually believe that's true?
No, but it's
Exactly.
fallen
Okay.
angels.
The reason, that's not fault. Listen to what I'm saying. You don't believe that Zeus was an actual guy striking down lightning to the floor. You don't believe that, right? The reason why I say that, the reason why I brought that up is because the ancient Greeks, for thousands of years, they did have faith in that. They did have faith in that. And we know they did because they built temples to the guy. You can go see the temples right now. They built architecture, temples, they had scriptures, all based around Zeus. The Olympic Games, things that we still do today, were created to worship Zeus. He's not real. But they had all this type of faith in it. So we know faith is not reliable.
But I mean, like I just said earlier, once you're actually in,
All right, guys, I appreciate y'all. What's up, Caddy? I appreciate you being here, Caddy. Hey, shout out to everybody who's watching me over on YouTube. If you're watching me over on Facebook, I appreciate you there too. And if you're watching me on Twitch, Caddy and Choose, I'm gonna bring you guys up once we're done up here. Okay, I appreciate y'all. Hey, Durden, would you like to come up, Durden? Because like you keep crashing out in the comments, and I'm getting tired of it. So go ahead and come on up if you like to come on up, Durden, because like it's. You've been following me around for like how many things now? Anyway, Jordan, how's it going, Jordan? Are you 18 and up, and do you think you can give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Yeah.
All right, sure. What's that reason?
There's so many reasons. I think it's cool. I think that's one reason, you know.
Because it's cool.
Yeah, like
I'm not sure
you
that's a
think
good.
it's cool. Like
I'm not sure that's a good reason or not. Because just because it's cool, and not only that, isn't that kind of really subjective? Because
yeah,
like I can believe like I think Batman's cool. I'm not worshiping him.
Right. But I think it takes a little bit of faith to even begin to like seek God. Like the Bible tells us to seek God if we want to find him, right? But I think like
Hmm.
if you're not even interested in it at all, right, then you're not going to seek him out. You're not going to pray, right? Because you don't really care. You think, life is good, I don't need what do I need God for? Like I got money, like
Hmm.
I don't know what else you do in your spare time, but
I
I think it
volunteer
could be
most of the time.
useful.
Yeah, I volunteer most of the time. I'm part of an organization called Black Men Build, where we talk about political education, going out there to help people. We're trying to do a food bank now because everything that's going on with the government shutdown. We don't want people to go hungry. So that's pretty much what I do in my spare time. I spend time with my lady. You know what I mean, we go out to butterfly gardens, things like that. Enjoy life. But when it comes to you like I mean, you just think that it's a cool thing to do. I mean that kind of makes it a hobby, right? Doesn't it? And if we're gonna make religion a hobby, I guess that's cool and all. No one really have a problem if we made religion a hobby, but that's not really what religion is used for.
Right. So I guess I'm just trying to first make the case that like Christianity is worth looking into at all, right? Because you just said you have a full life, so it's like, why would you even waste your time seeking God? Because I think the confirmations do come later. Like for me, I was praying a lot and like giving a lot of time to God, and I believe He showed me that He's real, right? I've had experiences, whatever.
Well,
But
I was a Christian for
before,
until I was like 27. So
right, so do you think like, are you interested in it? Like, do you find it appealing? Do you understand like why it's cool? Do you
not
think it's
anymore.
cool and interesting?
Not anymore. When I was like in my teen years, yeah, sure, but not anymore because I grew up in church. Matter of fact, one of my fondest memories are from church.
Okay, so for me, what is appealing is that, there's a golden city. This is what I said this. There's a golden city in the sky with free food, free rent, free
Hmm.
water, eternal life. You can probably fly.
Hmm.
It's paved with transparent gold.
Hmm.
Nobody's gonna suffer, right? So like that's in Revelation 21 it describes a golden like this giant like 2,000 kilometer city in the sky that's just like beyond words beautiful,
Hmm.
right? And that's heaven. That's where Jesus ascended to. Um, and
Okay.
that's what really excites me because like that's gonna
I
be
mean,
so cool. Like I
yeah,
want that to
sure.
be
That
real.
Yeah, sure. That really sounds cool. But the question I would ask is that what does that actually represent to you? You feel me? Because it's like is if there's no way to show that that's true, that has to represent something else to you. What does it actually represent?
Well, it to me it represents like healing and stability, like because we're all working, trying to pay our bills, right? And people are suffering,
Mm-hmm.
and like I don't know, people don't really have a purpose. There's nothing that like really you like, I don't know what's gonna unite. Like, what was the question? What am I even answering? What
I,
are you
I
saying?
was no, I was asking what does that represent to you, and you said that you said things
Yeah,
like
a
purpose.
lot.
Yeah, it represents a lot. You said things like purpose, healing, compassion, togetherness. Is that not something that you can have here on Earth?
Not well, no, we gotta pay bills here.
Hmm.
We're not immortal here, right? So we got a lot of problems here. and
Why
and
is
here,
immortality important to you?
I just want to hang out with I'm also a universalist, so I don't believe hell is eternal.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah,
So,
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, sure. Like we do gotta pay bills, and food is scarce. Scarcity is a pretty scary thing. Like I do get that. That's why I have the politics that I have. Like that's why I believe in things like universal health care, universal education, parental leave, 15-minute cities, food, community gardens, things like that. Like so to live the best lives possible. I mean, and I don't think that should be a utopia after we die. We should have that here because we have the ability to, right?
I don't think we have the ability to build a utopia here.
I think we do. I think we do have the ability because the United States of America itself produces enough food to feed the entire planet. We just throw most of it away because it's not profitable. So what's going on right now is the profit motive, basically. Like, you can't make money from it, so we just don't do it. So I think that's why I developed the politics that I have, because we should be getting rid of the profit motive in order to make sure that everybody lives a well-off life. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the profit motive is huge though, and like I don't know how you're just gonna wave a magic wand and make people be generous.
I think we naturally are, because like we're the thing that makes us less generous, in my opinion, is the profit motive. If we didn't have the profit motive, everybody just had to survive, what would we do? We would be working together. The profit motive only became a thing because, you know, people wanted to lord over others. But if we live in a type of society where something like that is discouraged, and we would like to work together for everyone's life to be better, wouldn't you like to live in that type of society? And I would.
Yeah, I'm all for improving the society. Maybe I'm just a little bit jaded. I mean, I tried. You know, we got a lot of issues. So we got a lot of selfish people, greedy, lying politicians. I'm sure that's not news to you. I don't know how we're just gonna, like, you know, I was very political, and you know, and I was into science. I thought science was gonna fix the world, right? But I don't know. I just and you know, even in best case scenario, we're still gonna die. So then that's all of this is just like kind of short term planning. And I wanted something that would actually last, right? And that's why, you know, when Jesus said like he's the foundation, he's the cornerstone, that and we're supposed to build on him. I was like, that makes so much sense, because I want to build something that lasts. I need something, a foundation to build upon that's gonna, like, you know, because you build a sandcastle, it's done. You build a house, you die. Like, where's like a solid ground that I can hold on to and actually build something that lasts?
So legacy.
No, it's not that it's about me. I mean, it doesn't have to be my legacy, but it has to be. I guess I don't know.
Something that lasts
I would like
beyond
to
you.
contribute. Yeah, I would. Sure, maybe it is about my legacy. Yeah, I think
Something
we all
like
kinda-
you would like to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. That's noble.
Yeah,
That's noble. That's why I decided to study what I study. You know what I mean? So that is noble, that you would like to have a legacy to that lives beyond yourself, right? That's exactly why I volunteer and why I want to have an effect on the youth to have, you know, because I found out that a lot of people who have issues when they're older all start in their youth, right? So that's why I started to study what I studied, to help kids out and that at that young age. That is noble, that you want to affect the world and you want something to last beyond you. That I don't think that's problematic. I think the only issue of contention is, you know, why is something after you die, a reward after you die, the important thing, and not what you can do for people here?
I think because I've tried so many things that are unfulfilling. Like I don't, and it's like you go get what's your favorite food? Like you go get a hamburger and it tastes delicious, and then the hamburger's gone, and you're sad. Like, wow, that was great while I was eating the hamburger, but now it's gone. You know, like that feeling sucks, and I don't want to spend my time building something that's just gonna fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, like that's
It's like a waste of time.
like waste your time. Yeah, I definitely get that. I definitely understand that. There are like African societies that don't view time as a commodity. You know what I mean? They view time as flowing backwards, essentially. So basically, when it comes to their perspective, time is not something that's spent. Time doesn't happen until you're actually there, right? Which makes it flow backwards. But when we're talking about you want to build something, that's, like I said, that's noble. You want something that's going to outlive you and outlast you. That's something noble to have, right? That's not a problem.
Well,
But I don't think
live. I mean, outlive me. I want something to last after but I'm still part of it. Like,
You
I
want
don't want to die, right?
right,
It's
right.
like,
Okay, so yeah, that we get to that. You don't want to die. I don't think anyone wants to, right? I don't think anyone wants to die. I want to see what happens 2,000 years from now, and it is understandable. It is normal to not want to pass away. Like, would you say that you have a huge fear of death?
not anymore, but
Not anymore
uh,
because you have this promise that or something that you think is a promise after you die, right?
yeah,
Okay. If you
yeah,
were
and
to
yeah, go ahead.
if you were to lose that promise, what do you think will happen to you?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Cool. Because I was where you were at, right? I didn't want to die. I want to be part of something that lives on after I pass away. What I figured out though is that um the memories that I leave behind, like for my kids, any family members that I have, I'm part of their memories, right? A piece of me still lives. Like for example, my grandmother passed away 14 years ago, but I still remember her. I still remember her voice. I still remember her face. I'm getting her tattooed next year because I still have her picture on my phone. That's still a piece of her that lives on, right? And a lot of people say that myself and my father look just like her. You know what I mean? So me just having this face is a piece of her that lives on. Would you say that that could be part of you that lives on if you have a wife or children, or if I don't know if you're gonna get married or have a wife if you like women. If you like men, that's fine. But when you adopt and have children, everything like that, that could be part of your legacy that lives on after you, right?
I don't know. I mean, because don't you miss her?
I definitely miss my grandma. Yeah.
Right. And so, then I hear Jesus say, "Hey, I'm going to raise the dead." That sounds like a much better plan to me than like your grandma living on in you.
Mhm.
Can I talk to her? What's she do? Like it's not really the same as like her coming back, and Jesus says we're gonna raise the dead, right? So that's like
Mhm.
that's a huge solution, even if it's not true, whatever. I'll grant maybe it's not. I don't think I think it's true, but um at least he has a solution, an answer there. Like if you go with atheism, it's just like
You
when
die
we
and that's
die,
it.
it's just a void of chaos and we don't know what's coming next. Like I don't think it's nothing. I don't think anybody's gonna experience nothing after. It's something.
How do we know that?
That's just my gut feeling. Before I was even Christian, I had a gut. Like there's just no way it ends to me. That just doesn't make sense. How could it end?
I mean, everything ends. When I finish drinking
I
this,
doubt it.
when I finish drinking this water bottle, right? Is there gonna be any water left in the bottle?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
It end. Things
I
end.
mean, there's some drops.
Yeah, but you get my point. Like things end. That happens.
I don't buy it. I don't think our consciousness. And it's not like I have some deep reasoning for it. It's just a vibe thing. Like I just don't think it'll end. But at least there's an answer in Jesus. And for you, I mean, so your answer would be so. Okay, so it's like okay, we have the Bible,
Mhm.
Jesus Christ of the Bible making a claim. Well, Jesus is going to come and raise the dead, and then we have you. Okay, you versus Jesus Christ. Who should I believe? Who should I believe?
You should believe where the evidence leads to, and what evidence is there that Jesus can actually do that?
Well, again, I've said I've had personal experiences, right? That
My
confirm to me that God is real. And I'm not the only one. There's thousands of Christians of the testimonies online.
testimonies. Yeah, I got you. There are people who that testify that Zeus is real. Is Zeus real?
Honestly, I think maybe not how he's depicted, but yeah, there might be like a demon that was speaking to these people that worship Zeus. I think Zeus. I think
Why
there's
is
something.
Zeus?
I mean, even the Bible says that there's like demons in the idols. Like
Yeah,
idols are
yeah.
demons
Of
or
course. Why is Zeus a demon and Jesus not?
well, just because I trust Jesus.
Okay. Why trust Jesus?
Well, actually, no. There's a lot.
Right, I got you. I got you. Why trust Jesus and not Olodumare?
Yeah, I mean I think Jesus is cool. I think there are other spirits, and um, I
And
just find
Jesus is just the
Jesus
coolest
most
one.
compelling. I mean, yeah, like I find the Bible the most compelling
Why?
story that I've come across.
Why?
Like who do you think is cooler? Who's more appealing than Jesus? Who's more trustworthy than Jesus? If you're,
Olodumare,
who else are you going to learn from? Like, do you value learning? Do you
Shango,
value wisdom? Like,
Anansi, Erzurli, Yamoja, Mamawata. Do you know who any of these are?
oh, no.
These are all African deities. These are all deities that my ancestors talked about thousands of years before Jesus. So shouldn't I trust them over some foreigner?
I mean, bro, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I mean, I'll tell you what I'm doing, but like, I don't know. I don't know where you're at.
Right,
Uh,
exactly. What I'm trying to,
I like Jesus.
right, I got you. What I'm trying to point out is when you ask me, who will be more appealing and who will be more trustworthy, I would say the ones that my ancestors worshipped.
Okay. I mean, you wanna give me the sales pitch? Like, what's so smart about them?
I'm not gonna give you the sales pitch because that's simply not how um Yoruba and Voodoo works, right? It doesn't work that way. There's no evangelicalism. You join or you don't. What I'm trying to pinpoint is why is that one more compelling than all the rest? Like what makes that compelling? Because these are all just making claims, right? No one can prove any of this is true. They're all just making claims. So I get that Jesus is cool. That's all good and well, but what how
Well, the heaven
is
thing's
compelling
cool.
because
I got a lot
it's cool.
more.
Hmm?
Yeah, so there's a lot of I can give you a lot of reasons why it's cool. Another reason is well, I think it's the best book of all time. Like it's definitely the best-selling book of all time.
It's a
Most
best-selling book. I'll
influential.
give you that. But isn't it the best-selling book because of colonialism?
Are you American?
Yeah.
So should you give the land back to the natives?
Yes.
Oh. He stands on business. Okay then. No, I don't know, bro. Like, does that mean that we have to throw away everything like colonialism brought? Because like I don't know.
It's
Did
cool
it?
to not
So
know.
wait,
Yeah,
what is?
I like these conversations. It's good to not know.
Is it
That's
just because of
not a problem.
colonialism? Is that the only reason that it's the best-selling book?
Essentially, Europe took over the world. If it was the other way and China took over the world, then whatever Buddhist text they have will probably be the best-selling ones.
I think it's interesting that, Christianity came out on top. Why is that?
Uh,
Like,
be,
it's not like the European colonizers are like the only people who tried to conquer, right? Seems to be kind of like a common thing in history.
well, that area of the world, Europe and the Mid East, they were a whole bunch of empires around. So yeah, they were all trying to conquer each other. The difference is that Europe had the ocean, and the Middle East just had land, which is why like if you look at the Middle East or what they'll call the Arab world, you'll see that most of where Islam is over land, and where most of Christianity is happens to went overseas. That's really the difference. That's just how history turned out.
So how do you think Christianity took over the Roman Empire? Does Christianity get any credit for that?
Constantine had a vision, and boom, turned the entire empire to Christian. All right, Jordan, I appreciate you being up, but we are like way past our time. But I appreciate you being here.
Yep, later.
All right, have a good one, though. All right, guys, I do appreciate everybody here. Kat, I'm gonna bring you up in a moment. Hey, y'all, let's go ahead and keep liking, alive, and sharing. We're at 4.8K likes. Let's try to get us to 7K within the next few minutes. Secular Smoke, I appreciate you being in the comments. All right, Dirt and Razor, you've been in insulting me and pissing all over the live for the past, I don't know, 2-3 days now, or the last time I saw you on the other live. What is the issue?
Such a grand welcoming in. Sure, yeah. Can we agree that there are certain procedures, guidelines that UFC fighters go through outside of the ring. Is that a true statement or is that a false statement?
There's certain procedures that UFC fighters do outside the ring. I don't know.
Yeah, are they allowed to engage in, I guess, barbaric practices of what they practice inside the ring? Did they adhere to ethics? Yes or no?
Oh, can they just go out there and beat people up? No, of course not.
Okay, so last time you said something about being a counselor or a therapist, correct? Did I understand that correctly?
I'm in the course for it.
You're in the what?
I'm in the course for it. I just came back from residency last week, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I'm in the
Sure.
course for it.
Can you tell me what section A4B states in regards to personal values? Now, it doesn't say in the counselor setting, it doesn't say in an office or outside an office, but you are supposed to, as a counselor,
Talking
you're
about-
supposed to adhere
You
to
talking
the
about
AC Code of
the
Ethics.
you talking about the ACA Code of Ethics?
Correct.
Give
Okay,
me a
so what
second,
it
let me
does,
bring it
yeah, sure, it says personal values, section A4B
Mm-hmm.
under personal values.
Yeah. What about it?
Okay, so counselors are aware and avoid imposing their own values, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Counselors reject the diversity of clients, trans, and all this other blah, blah, blah. You can read the rest of it. So
Hold on.
what I'm
So-
saying
hold
is,
on. Wait. Hold on. Let me read it. All right. So A4B
you
personal
should already know
values.
it. Yeah, you should already know.
Counselors
you
are
should already know this as a
counselors are aware of and avoid imposing their own values, attitude, beliefs, behaviors. Counselors respect the diversity of clients, trainees, and research participants, and seek training in areas in which they are at risk of imposing their values onto clients, especially when the counselor's values are inconsistent with the client's goals or discriminatory in nature. Yeah, sure. I'm not doing that. None of these people are my clients.
Well, where does it say in the setting? Where does it say in the setting?
Damn it. I just closed it. Give me a second. I closed it by mistake.
Yeah, I'll answer that question for you. Nowhere does it say in the setting of, in any setting.
Right. It doesn't mention any setting, but it mentions clients. Who's my client here?
Well, no. What I'm getting at is,
No.
let's just
Who's my
I'm
client?
answering
Who's
your
my
question.
client? No,
I'm answering your
Durden.
question.
No. Who's
I'm
my
answering
client?
your question.
Durden.
You're not giving
Which
me a
one of
chance
these
to
people?
respond.
Which one of these people are my clients?
You're not giving me a chance
Which
to respond.
one of these people are my clients?
Sir, you're not,
Which
you're not,
one of these
you're,
people? I'm
I'm
not giving you a chance to
trying answer
respond
your
because
question.
you're lying on me. Which one of these
I'm
people are
trying
my
to answer your
clients?
question.
Which
Why are
one
you
of these
rushing?
people? Which one of these people
Why
are
are you
my
dodging?
clients? Guy,
Why
my
are you
guy,
dodging?
my guy. Which one of
Why
these
are you
people?
dodging? I'm
Okay,
trying to respond.
I'm going to mute you real quick. All right, and I want you to actually answer my question. I want you to actually answer my question instead of interrupting me. Which one of these people which one of these people are my clients? Because number one, I'm not a licensed counselor yet, and number two, I didn't give them I didn't give them what's that thing called again? I didn't give them a confidentiality statement, did I?
Okay, as I was trying to respond to your asinine question, the question that I'm asking is where does it say what you dodged? One, that's one dodge that you didn't answer.
No, I
Two,
answered that already. I said it doesn't mention a
okay,
setting.
stop.
It mentions clients. Which one of these people are my clients?
Again, as I was presenting to you before you interrupted me, hypothetically, if your client just so happens to be on TikTok and scroll on this, guess what? You're imposing it on that client.
No, I'm
So
not.
you
No,
literally
I'm
are.
not. Because I'm on my personal
No.
time. We're not in a session.
Oh, so again, that's the reason why I asked about the ethics.
I'm on my
UFC.
personal
You
time.
can
I'm
see
not in
the
a
results.
session. I'm not in a session.
have to carry
Hold on.
that
Hold.
outside.
Are you saying that counselors can't have a personal life and can have their own opinions? Okay, so counselors can have their own personal
Okay,
life.
so if
Hold
you
on,
scroll
wait.
on down,
So
so if you
counselors can
scroll-
have their
no,
own
no, no,
personal
you're-
life.
you're crashing
Counselors
out.
can
You're
have their
crashing
own
out.
personal life. Counselors can have their own personal life and their own personal opinions. Are you saying they're not allowed to talk about their personal life and their own personal opinions because a client may see it? That's
Well,
ridiculous,
again,
dude.
The
That's not
ethics
how
tells
that
you-
works.
Obviously, you're not even a therapist. I tell you why. Because the ethics tells you that.
Where does this? Hold on, I'm gonna bring this guy back up. It literally says that you can't talk about your personal opinion. It doesn't say that in the ACA Code of Ethics, guy. It does not say that in the ACA Code in the ACA Code of Ethics. It does not say that you can't speak your personal opinion. It said you can't impose it on a client. And me freely talking on my own time is not imposing anything on a client. Are these people stupid? Holy shit, bro. Are these people stupid? Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh my God, bro. This cannot be real. This cannot be real. The ACA Code of Ethics does not say that you cannot speak your opinion, otherwise a client can see. It doesn't say that at all. Here's one thing that I will give him, which is probably what he was trying to say. They do tell you to limit your social media presence. They do tell you that. It says don't impose on your client. No one here is my client. No one here is my client. I didn't make anybody here sign a confidentiality statement. What is that statement called? We just learned it in thing. What is that called? The thing that you sign. It's not confidentiality. It's I forgot what that's called. Yeah, it's like HIPAA. Let's see. Informed consent. There we go. Informed consent. That's what it is. Informed consent. Yeah. So no one here signed an informed consent statement, right? So no one here is my client. So this guy is coming here saying that I can't impose my opinion on my client. Irrelevant. No one here is my client. And if I do have a client and happen to scroll by and look at it, I'm on my free time. Christ almighty. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all getting me the 7K likes. I appreciate it. Hey, Phantom, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Phantom. I appreciate y'all getting me the 7K likes. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak with me, I would definitely appreciate it. Oh, yeah, Caddy was here. My bad, Caddy. Yeah, Secular Smoke, it is ass backwards. It is very ass backwards.
Bro, I can't believe that dude just attempted to affect your livelihood like that on a...
Yeah, of course he is. Oh boy. All right, let's read more of the ACA.
That was some straight Karen white privilege type stuff right there, bro.
Mm-hmm. Here it is. Social media. Counselors understand the profession of counseling may no longer be limited to in-person, face-to-face interactions. Counselors actively attempt to understand the evolving nature of profession with regard to distance counseling, technology, and social media, and how much resources may be used better service to clients. Counselors start to become knowledgeable about these resources. Counselors understand the additional concerns related to the use of distance counseling, technology, and social media to make every attempt, yada, yada, yada. So, and then it goes to knowledge and legal considerations, laws and statutes, informed consent and security. It says nowhere on here that a counselor can't have, oh, here it is, social media, there we go. Virtual professional presence. In cases where counselors wish to maintain a professional and personal presence for social media use, separate professional and personal web pages and profiles are created to clearly distinguish between two kinds of virtual presence. There we go. Counselors respect the privacy of their clients' presence on social media unless given to consent to view such information. There we go. Use of public social media. Counselors take precautions to avoid disclosing confidential information through public social media. There we go. There's nothing on here on the social media section on the ACA that says I can't have a social media presence. It says I have to divide my personal and professional social medias. On this is my personal social media. This is my personal one. If I were to have a professional one, I would have to do something completely different, completely separate from this. This is stupid. This is so fucking stupid. So thank you, Durden, for making me bring that up to show that you're a moron. All right. All right, Caddy, how's it going?
How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I'm doing good. Oh man, it's been a day. We had a few guests, but a few of them dropped off. I'm seeing. I need to see if anyone else is gonna come up, and if no one else come up, then I'll probably end it early. You been doing all right, bro?
Yeah, I've been doing all right, man. You ever notice how one of the things that a lot of people who are in the Abrahamic faith don't want to admit is the indoctrination and colonization aspects of Abrahamic faith. They don't want to talk about those parts
Hmm.
because largely when we talk about indigenous cultures, those parts are usually through the scope of Abrahamic historians. And
Hmm.
Abrahamic historians painted indigenous cultures with a pretty little biased type of brush,
Definitely.
and that's one of the key things they live out. Later on, more New Age, modern age historians would revisit a lot of indigenous culture and actually give them credit where credit was due, like the Aztecs and their farming techniques, or Egypt and its ability to make those pyramids. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we get
exactly.
you get this you get this people forget that the Middle East was very strong, and when it went to go conquer, right, when it went to go conquer, it did so very ruthlessly. And also that the Bible has a lot of mixture of a lot of different things and has a lot of different books that are missing from it, and also has a combination of a lot of different belief systems rolled into one. Like you got pre-Judaism indigenous beliefs like Yahwism and Zoroastrianism that come into Judaism. Judaism then becomes the offshoots of Judaism become Christianity and Islam. So people want to talk about, like, it's always funny how Islam and Christian wants to talk about how they don't really like Judaism, but Judaism is really like key their mother, historically accurately key their mother. You know what I mean? Like,
Pretty much.
yeah, and then prior to that, there's indigenous faiths that lead to monotheism.
Hmm.
So a lot of people don't know that the indigenous man, humankind,
Hmm.
was polytheistic before monotheistic.
It
And
was.
that's the part they have a hard time grappling with because you see, they don't want to really look at their Bible in critical thinking terms. They
Hmm.
want to, or the Quran in critical thinking terms. Because the moment you do that, you notice that the allegories that they're drawing up, that the allegories that they make up, they don't match definition of words. They try to paint morality pictures, pretty morality pictures, and pick and choose, cherry pick little verses and little things that they like, but they don't want to look at the entirety of it and be like, that was savage, that was authoritarian, that was slavery, that was, rape. They don't want to. They don't want to look at those type of aspects, the savageness that exists within the Abrahamic faith context. They don't want to
Hmm.
look at that. They want to look at the little pretty parts they can pick and choose, and they don't want to focus on the contradictions, the hypocrisy of it. They don't do that. They don't do that because it's part of their belief system. It's part of the indoctrination that they've been into. It's also become part of their nature. So it's very hard for them to be like, look, man, I'm going to go educate myself on different beliefs around the world fully and understand them and understand different cultures, indigenous and otherwise. They don't want to do that. They don't want to waste it. They don't have enough time. First
Hmm.
of all, they got a capitalism. Capitalism runs their mind. They don't have enough time to do it because they're too busy worrying about what they got to eat and how they got to eat. You know what I mean? And if you look at that authoritarian structure with capitalism, this is why Abrahamic faith matches the authoritarian structure very well. There's always a dualistic type of philosophy thinking that goes along with colonization and globalization. So capitalism and Abrahamic faith, best buddies. And you can look historically, it's accurate. The empires that were Abrahamic
Hmm.
largely participated in trade, and they used the missionaries to help colonize other places. And
Yeah.
only a few places resisted, like Japan, India, and China.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much like places that had already had their own type of like organized economy and religions, like they kind of were able to resist that type of belief and indoctrination, and the thing is, like you pointed out something very, so there's something very important on the importance of the capitalism and how it forces you to not really look at religions, because just like how you said, we're too busy focusing on what we're gonna eat the next day. We're not gonna keep thinking on, is this true or not. We don't have time for that. Yeah, I mean, I got to figure out how my kids are gonna be eating. You know what I mean. So, as long as you have that, as long as you have those issues, as long as those exist, you're never. Well, a lot of people are never gonna just look at what's going on in the religions and seeing if it's true or not.
Facts. I mean, if you look at it right now, people want to know what makes colonization and what makes Western globalization so easily and capitalism so easily widespread. It is one part. Missionaries do help it. Missionaries do the buttering up to help for Westernization, but also there's also the power aspect. You know, we have the most military spending. You know what I mean? There's the military industrial complex. But if you look at it, you know, the Western Abrahamic theocracy type of thing fits a fascist narrative. Theocracy fits a fascist narrative. Like even Mustache Man himself, remember, was a Looney Tune who, you know, looked at some indigenous face and associated with his own superiority complex, racial superiority complex, and got those indigenous face completely mixed up and wrong. Which later, you know, he was the first starseed theory type dude. Mustache Man was the first starseed theory type dude. You know what I mean? If you really think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Frost, did you want to come up and discuss? Because I'm not sure what your comment there means. You want to come up and discuss? I'll go ahead and invite you up. But basically, like if you a theocracy always leads to some sort of fascism or some sort of fascist beliefs, because the hierarchy needs to be enforced, you know, and fascism is all about forcing a certain hierarchy, forcing a type of hegemony, and the only way to the best way to do that, as a matter of fact, is to have a religious slant to it, because I don't know who said this, but it was very, very true. They said when fascism comes to America, it'll be wrapped in the American flag and carrying the Bible, you know what I mean, or carrying the cross. And, you know, they're absolutely right. You feel me? That's exactly what we see happening.
Because see, with underneath theocracy and colonization is the mask off, is the availability to be a globalist, to do G-sides across the world for resources. And, you know, never mind if we really look into some of these Abrahamic faiths, they're worshiping a war god that they have to do human sacrifice to. Never mind all that. But, you know, they becomes a justification for G-sides, proxy wars, and ways to extract resources from people who don't have the means to defend themselves completely. They don't have the army, and they keep the United States keeps a huge investment in other places around the world and keeping them destabilized, out of control, no unity, so that they can so the corporations can extract the resources from them. You know what I mean? And that's a huge thing that goes on with corporations, monopolies, and the U.S. government. You know what I mean? So it's you know,
exactly.
it's that fine brush painted with pretty little rainbow colors and words that are co-opted to mean things that they don't, type of story. You know what I mean? We see it in words like woke. They do things like that. They try to co-opt things.
Boy, they ruined that, boy. When I say they ruined that, it's crazy how badly they ruined that word, man. Crazy how badly they ruined it, because now it means anything that they don't like now. That's all it means. Anything that they don't like, everything they don't like is woke. It's crazy. Guys, go ahead and keep liking the live. Let's go ahead and give me the 10K within the next few minutes. Go ahead and give me the 10K within the next few minutes. We're just chilling here right now. We're just waiting for a guest. What I should do, I should probably get I have a Google Voice number. I should start putting the phone number up just to see how many people will call in. You know what I mean? And we'll have a nice little call-in show. That'll be cool. I think me and Black Atheist Rants may start that soon. A little call-in show to actually speak to folks. But yeah, man, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. But keep tapping that screen, y'all. Tap. Let's get us to 10K likes. We're going to try to get more people into the box. I might open up for a... Let me do this. It's going to be the first time I do this on this live, at least. We're going to go grid mode.
So I got some questions for you, man.
What's going on?
So do you agree with the infinite model of the universe, or do you agree with the finite model of the universe, the cosmos?
I'm not even sure what those how those are described basically. Like I'm.
Okay, so finite model would be like the Big Bang, right? Infinite model would be like quantum physics. Energy cannot be just created nor destroyed in an infinite circumstance. Now, when I say energy cannot be created nor destroyed, a lot of people would argue the finite notion, which is in a closed system, meaning that so therefore it's only one unique system where that's the case. When I say infinite energy cannot be created nor destroyed, that means energy goes on infinitely and cannot be created nor destroyed. And the reason why this is kind of important is because it goes into dualistic philosophy versus non-dualistic and infinite philosophy. And there's two separate camps in science, and people don't know this because again, we're based on a Western Abrahamic type of a finite paradigm. Most people lean toward finite science, but infinite science camps are a new thing emerging currently, like quantum physics and a bunch of other different types of things. So when I ask, what camp you are in, is basically, do you believe in an infinite universe that goes on forever and ever, or do you believe in a creational Big Bang type situation?
From what I've been understanding, there's some scientists who talk about like the universe could be cyclical. Basically, it bangs and crunches over and over again. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's infinite, what's finite, or how any of that works. I'm just, yeah, it could be cyclical, because if matter can't be created or destroyed, then, or energy can be created or destroyed, and that means it's always here somehow, some way. You know what I mean? I have heard of like quantum foam, essentially, or quantum fluctuation, where it's like a kind of a true nothing, where it's like there's nothing there, but even in that quantum foam, things still pop in and out of existence. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that's very, very complicated and heady, and I can't really explain it or know how to explain it, but it's interesting, and we'll see where it leads to. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Right. You know that indigenous faiths were more animistic and naturalistic in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And a lot of people think that giving a form to something is equivalent to idol worship or whatever. But we kind of do this as a species altogether. Something new comes along, we name it, we so-called discover it, and we name it, and we map it, and we tell it how it works.
Right.
But that's just part of our human nature. We do that no matter what. You know what I mean? And so my point is, even if you're giving something a form, right, and you are worshiping that form, it's no different from anyone else around the world. You know what I mean? It really is no different. What matters is the amount of devotion, and I think people need to understand devotion as a tool. It's a tool that can cause your pineal gland to excrete certain things and for you to have a hallucinatory experience. But there's this thing called the ego. When you get attached to said experience and you go around screaming that my way is the right way or my God is the right God, that is, and everybody else is in some kind of delusion or worshiping demons and devils, I think they don't understand the nature of full-on reality. You know what I mean? Like, you are having an hallucination, which is using your memory, which is using your body to create this hallucination. You are pulling from that and using it as ego validation to say that your religion is correct. And that's just something that people don't recognize they're doing, because they so want to have a non-physical experience. And when they have that, it's just validation of their ego. It just validates their ego. And they go around, instead of dissecting the experience, they go around, my God is the right God type of attitude.
Yeah, makes sense. Y'all, we just here, we just chilling, we just waiting for the next guest to pop up. If you know anybody who would like to discuss things like this, go ahead and send this out to them, invite them up. We're gonna try to get some more guests before we go on and get out of here. I'll give it a few more minutes, and then we'll see who else comes up, and we'll try to go ahead and get more guests. Go ahead and keep tapping that screen, y'all. Go ahead and tap, 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 tap. Shout out to everybody who's watching me over on YouTube and on Twitch and on Facebook. You guys are amazing. Y'all are wonderful. Still looking for more guests, and if y'all know anybody who's who would like to come up and speak, the link is in the description as well. You can just click on that little tiny URL, and it'll go ahead and bring you up. All right. Secular Smoke says the energy is the heat melting the metal, so it's a transfer of energy to change or transition the metal to smaller particles. The energy will come to the vibration. This is really heady, y'all. A lot of this scientific stuff I don't know much about. But I do know that heat is basically vibrating particles or vibrating atoms and molecules, right? When those things vibrate, that we experience that as heat. And heat transference is basically those molecules either going from vibrating at high speed to vibrating at low speed. That's as much as that's like 11th grade physics. I never took deep physics.
That when you wear black, that you're in the sun, you're gonna get more of the heat on you and stuff like that. You're gonna get tired quickly because you're gonna be overheating.
Yeah,
because you're wearing black in the hot 90-degree weather or 100-degree weather.
yeah, exactly. That's how we know all that. All right, man. I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for a little bit for more guests to come up, Caddy. I'm gonna drop you down just for a bit, but I'm just gonna wait for some more guests, and if none come, I'm gonna go ahead and end the live early. All right, appreciate you though, Caddy.
No problem.
Sure. All right, guys, I'm just waiting for another guest to come up. If anybody would like to talk about this, if you think that you can give me a good reason to believe in a God, I would definitely like to talk to you. We went through a whole 15 to 20 minutes of someone, saying that I cannot be on this if I'm studying what I'm studying. And we had to go ahead and read the ACA Code of Ethics, where it clearly doesn't say that. Okay, it's not gone. It's always going to be here in a state. Matter will be matter and energy will transfer. Okay. Like I said, I never took, any type of deep physics. Because physics and chemistry are probably my worst subjects because of how much math it involved. But it was really cool, though. The physics was really cool. I wish I was as smart as Einstein. But I've always looked physics. I always liked space science. Space science is always my thing. I always like space science. Guys, we are looking for more guests. If you would like to come up to discuss with me, go ahead and please come on up, and we would have more conversations. If I have to end this early because we don't get any more guests, then you can. I'm probably gonna go ahead and try to get on another live, and I'm not sure if I would. I'm not sure if I'm gonna live stream that one. I may though. Thermodynamics also mostly applies to Earth, mechanical principles because of relativity. We have math on it and good data. It's cool shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is. Physics is pretty cool. It just gives me a headache. all the equations you would see, like physics has a lot more equations than E equals MC squared. Like you will see like a whole bunch of equations on physics, and it's like really it gives a headache. It gives really big headaches, but it's cool. Physics is some cool shit. Everyone should check out some physics. Yeah, you're right, Caddy. Separation between church and state is extremely important. Yeah, neuroscience is dope too. Yeah, neuroscience is really dope. All right, y'all, I might get out of here soon because I'm not sure what's going on with the guests. We had a few up here. We had Nax and God is Great, but for some reason they dropped out. Fluid dynamics. You see, there's a lot of mathematical shit that I don't know about at all. Like what is fluid dynamics? I never even heard of that. You know. All right, y'all. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes for a guest, and then I'm gonna go ahead and end it off early and move on. And if I do that, if I don't get any more guests, then that'll be it for this live. But I do appreciate y'all being here. It's only about to be 9 o'clock. Well, that is a pretty good time for a stream. That is from 7:30 to 9. I think we'll have some good clips that we can go ahead and put on. Y'all, before I get out of here, try to get me to 10K. Go ahead and tap that screen. Tap that screen. Let's get to 10K. Let's get to that 10K live goal. My next live goal is gonna be 15K. I'll put it up somewhere up here. I'll put it somewhere, and my live goal will be 15K likes. Let's go ahead and tap that screen. Tap. Get me to 10K before I go ahead and get out of here. Hopefully, we could get one more guest. Hopefully, we get one more guest, and then I can go ahead and move on. Let me tell y'all something. Over on Facebook, someone actually challenged me to a debate because I have leftist views. So he said that I'm too smart to be dumb, and he could shut me down in 2 minutes. Right? That's what he claimed. He said that I'm too smart to be dumb, and he could shut me down for 2 minutes on my leftist views. Right? So I said, cool. Let's go ahead and set it up. Bro ain't answered me for like 4 or 5 days. All right? I finally put a post out asking him, yo, we're going to do this, right? He commented on the post. He said, yeah, we could do this. Then the nigga said he needs a week. So next week, y'all could tune in where I'll be debating someone from one of my Facebooks. I'll give him the link to the Video Ninja. His photo will be somewhere around here. I don't know. I'll figure that part out. It'll be somewhere around there. But apparently, first he told me he could shut me down immediately. Then he didn't answer for like 5 days, and now the nigga need a week. So it's I don't. Oh, bad. But yeah. Anyway, so tune in sometime next week where I should be talking to somebody from my one of my Facebook followers who said that he can shut me down, and we'll see how that goes. We will definitely see how that goes. But go ahead and keep tapping that screen, y'all. Tap. Let's go ahead and get to 10K. He needs AI to do the rough draft and proofreading. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I do get a lot of people on my Facebook who kind of disagree with everything, things that I talk about. But, I put it out there. I said, hey, if you disagree with me, I'm more than welcome to, come on these streams that I do and have that conversation. More than welcome. I like having. Yeah, we gonna see. We gonna see, Secular. I have a feeling that it's not gonna go very well. Likely on his side, it's not gonna go well for him because for some reason, I don't know. Folks have some. Folks have. I don't know when. Conservatism is very popular right now. Conservatism on top is very popular right now. So folks think that when you're on the left, you're going to have, certain beliefs or argumentation. And then when they come speak to me, they see that it ain't that. You know what I mean? They think I'm not gonna have any type of evidence for what I'm saying. Exactly. They don't have any understanding of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, Caddy, they think I'm a Democrat. And I'm like, no, I don't even rock with them. You know what I mean? Democrats are capitalists. I don't even rock with them. So it's like, it's really silly. Jonesy, what's going on, Jonesy? I haven't seen Jonesy in a while, man. Jonesy, how is it going? Jonesy, how has it been? How is it going? I haven't seen Jonesy in a little bit. I appreciate you being here, Jonesy. It's been a while since you've been here. Jonesy, we just been chilling. I may get out of here in a little bit because I've been sitting without a guest for like, what's going on, Trill? Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jonesy. I'm really sorry to hear that. Babe, is that upstairs? Baby. Yeah. Is that upstairs? Huh? Is that upstairs? What? Oh, okay. I thought I heard some noise. Okay. Yeah, Caddy. Then we gotta explain communism and socialism to them. Let them know that these are two different. We got to the 10K, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Give me the 10K. We gotta explain how that communism and socialism are different. I really hope this shutdown ends soon, man, because like furloughed it's not fair for the furloughed people. There should be a different budget for federal workers and government shutdown stuff. They should be like different budgets for that. Because it's not fair to federal workers that they gotta, go through this because, Democrats and Republicans want to be stupid. What is that? This time it's not even the Democrats being stupid. It's the Republicans being stupid. Like some evil shit. You know what I mean? Like their bill is really to kick everybody off their health care. It's like they're not gonna vote for that. Yeah, correct, secular. Socialism and social democracy are different things. Yeah, exactly, Caddy. Democrats are not going to do nothing until say something after the fact. It's sickening. I get tired of this, man. That's why we really need an actual left-wing party. We ain't got that. I really wish that Huey P. Newton didn't give up and disbanded the party. Because I really think if the Black Panther Party still existed, that would be a viable third party. I truly think that. I truly think that if the Black Panthers were still around, that would be a viable third party. It really would. Because they changed a lot. And there were only, 6,000 members of the Black Panthers at its height? At its height, there were only 6,000 members of the Black Panthers. And they changed a lot. They changed a lot, man. So if it was an actual viable party with people actually getting elected into offices and changing things at the local level, I think it would have been an actual viable party. You know what I mean? Another world. Another world. All right, y'all. I think I am gonna get out of here. It's about 9 o'clock right now. I haven't gotten any guests yet, so I think I will go ahead and get out of here. And you're saying that is why people made the BLA? Jonathan, what's the BLA? No reformism. The thing is, I'm with you. Well, I'm with everybody on no reformism, right? Because we're tired of incremental shit, right? Where everybody's tired. I'm with y'all. But we also got to meet people where they're at. If there was a socialist revolution tomorrow, there will be our own people who will fight against it. You feel me? So it's like The Black Liberation Army. Okay, cool. Black Liberation Army. Yeah, yeah. Um, if there was a revolution tomorrow, there would be, our own working class people who will fight against it. You know what I mean? Um, the reason why, kind of champion reform is only to get people there. Really, convince enough people, sway a critical mass. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we need to do. We haven't swayed a critical mass yet. Now, it looks like we have. It feels like we have because of how shitty things are going. So it feels like we swayed a critical mass yet, right? But the moment that you bring in, okay, let's topple all this shit, there are people who's going to back off. Our own working class people are going to defend the capitalists. You see what I'm saying? So the critical mass isn't there yet, at least in my view. I know there's people who disagree with me. But from my view, a lot of people, we haven't swayed the critical mass yet. So until we sway the critical mass, we can't tip the scale. Now the scale is tipping because people are seeing the problems. But it hasn't tipped over yet. Once we see that we can sway that critical mass and people are like, all right, let's do it, then we could go ahead and do it. You feel me? Yeah. Yeah. Not environment or and that's the thing. Like the environment and the institutions, that should be enough to radicalize people, right? But when you talk to them, they point out all the issues, but then they blame us. They blame the leftists and the socialists. They blame us for it, bro. Like that's the crazy thing, right? That's the crazy thing, secular. Like when I talk to people about this stuff, right? They talk about the billionaires ruining life. You know what I'm saying? They talk about how the healthcare industry is really not giving us the health that we need. They talk about the military-industrial complex. They talk about the establishment politicians making a whole bunch of money and not changing anything. They know the issues. They absolutely know the issue. But then when you be like, okay, let's boom, solve it, they will defend capitalism and not actually want to have a revolution to solve it. It's crazy. It's insane. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, yeah, we've been framed as a bad guy. So we need to start swaying the critical mass because people know what the issues are, but they think that the reason for it is because of socialism. They think we caused the problem. You see what I'm saying? They think we caused the problem. So that's the only reason why I say we haven't swayed a critical mass yet. I'm with y'all on not reforming, but we need to. There's a lot of minds we need to change first. Unfortunately, it's just that way. Now I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. I know it. I know y'all do. It's just the way that I'm seeing it. You feel what I'm saying? Like I don't think we were there yet. Unfortunately, people see the problems, but they're blaming the wrong side. That's the issue. They're blaming the wrong people for the problem. And until we can make them see that we didn't cause the problem, then we can say fuck reformism. You see me? You feel me? Nancy Pelosi being worth $250 million. That's insane, bro. And she's about to retire right now. Wayne, I will call myself a socialist. That's what I'll call myself. I'm a leftist. I will call myself I'll call myself probably more of a social democrat at the moment. But I am a social democrat that accepts that capitalism cannot survive. We need to move away from capitalism. So the position I'm at is the transition stage. I think we should transition. I think right now, the way capitalism is, it needs to transition to social democracy. And then from there, we need to transition to socialism. You know what I mean? Because like right now, it's not working. Late stage capitalism is about to collapse. It's not working. So we need to transform the economy. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm pretty glad that Mamdani won, but that's because I'm only happy because he's not part of the establishment. So it shows that people are kind of um moving away from the establishment. We're moving away from the establishment. So, and as far as the DSA, um I think the problem a lot of people have with the DSA, because a lot of people see it as a funnel to the Democrats. But we have to separate the reality of something, right? The Democratic Party, they have the funding and the machine behind it, right? The Democrats have the funding and the machine behind them. So yeah, if I were to run in my local election, I wouldn't be able to run as a DSA candidate. I would have to run as a Democrat, but use the platform of the DSA. I would have to do that. You see what I mean? I didn't know that, Jonathan. I actually didn't know that. Oh, my bad, John. I'm talking to my YouTube chat. I should have been gone a long time ago, but I actually didn't know that, Jonathan. I should. There is someone that I follow on Twitter that's been arguing with other DSA members. He capped his nominations at 3. Okay, that's pretty noble. But I didn't know that there was a current of anti-blackness in the DSA. That's sad to hear. If that's true, Jonathan, that's sad to hear. Then that means that we need to. Black people may have to have our own socialist party. Then, if we can do that, if the DSA is not welcoming us right now. But yeah, so that would be the strategy, right? If I were to run as a Democrat in my local election, I would use the DSA platform. You see what I'm saying? I would use things like parental leave, universal health care, universal education, public transportation. I would use things like that, environmental protections, raising the wages, things like that. Oh, the way I know exactly what you mean, Jonathan. I know exactly what you're talking about. It is an issue for a lot of white liberals, white leftists, which is what you're pointing out. I know exactly what you mean, what you're pointing out, what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Jonathan. That makes sense. That makes sense. Pascal wager. What about Pascal's wager? Behaviors become patterns. That's 100% secular. But yeah, Pascal's wager. What about it? But yeah, so the things that I believe in there are things that, in my opinion, will make society, not just society better, but will keep families together, will cause less stress, less mental health issues. You know what I mean? So things like guaranteed housing, things like a living wage tied to your area. I would also say maximum wage as well. If you live for Christ and he didn't exist, why wouldn't it hurt? I'm not sure what you mean. Beyond, I'm gonna bring you up, Beyond, and you're probably gonna be my last guest before I get out of here. I'm gonna invite Beyond up into the stage. Beyond, come on up, cause I'm not sure what you're getting at. Hey, Beyond, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Good
Alrighty,
evening.
I'm all right. All right, if you are you at least the age 18?
I'm 27.
27, cool. Um, what were you trying to get
So,
at?
okay, Pascal's wager is that if God exists and you live for Christ, right? You live a moral life. It doesn't really hurt you. But if he if he doesn't exist, then all you did was live a moral life. You walked for the glory of God, and you try to do everything as moral as possible. But let's say he does exist, then you and then that would mean that by you not following God, you receive eternal damnation. So it's either one or the other.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you're
Okay.
going by
So
probability,
okay. So Pascal's wager is actually fallacious because it's not one or the other. Other religions exist. So even if you do follow Christ, what if Islam is right, or what if Hinduism is right, or what if Shintoism is right, or what if Voodoo is right? Then what? You're gonna go to hell in those religions.
okay, if you want to go with Buddha, Buddha said that he wasn't the way. If you want to go with Islam, Islam says to go back to the Injil, or which is the gospel. So the gospel contradicts the Quran. So if you, I mean,
Okay.
I
So
can keep on going.
Buddha simply saying he wasn't the way doesn't mean that Jesus is now the way.
Well, John 14:6 says, Jesus claimed to be the way. He
So
said, I am the way, the truth, and
so
the life. All that come to me, I
so what?
will have everlasting life.
So what?
What do you mean, so what?
That
So
doesn't make
he
it true.
claimed to be the Okay, but we can see him as a historic, outside of the Gospels or outside of the Bible, we have uh, outside historians to say that he existed and that he was real.
That doesn't make him a
Now,
god.
now if we go into the biblical
Wait, hold on,
sense,
stop. Just because he existed, it doesn't mean he was a god.
okay, but like, if we go to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John,
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and
Christ,
John are claims, not evidence.
he claimed to be God.
So
So the evidence would be that he got. If we go in the
hey,
without the
Beyond,
Bible,
Beyond, I'm God. You gonna believe me?
no, you, yeah,
Why not? You're blaspheming now. I'm God. You don't believe me?
No, because it says that many will call themselves to be God.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
don't
That's
believe
what Jesus did. He claimed himself to be God, but he wasn't. I'm God.
Yeah, but he created miracles.
No, he didn't.
Can you?
He's lying.
He did.
I created miracles. I created miracles 5 days ago.
Do one right now.
No,
You can.
I can't. I'm not gonna do one right now because you were supposed to believe me. You see Daniel right here in the comments. Daniel will testify to the fact that I flew up to heaven 5 days ago and I just came back down. Right, Daniel?
That's fallacious.
No, it's not. Daniel's right
Yes, it
there.
is.
He's gonna tell you that I did.
That don't mean nothing.
Sure, it does. It means just as much as the Bible.
No, because there was other witnesses there.
You see,
See,
like
the
you see,
Roman-
Daniel saw it happen and Wayne saw it happen. See the problem here?
Okay, but there's a historic by crucifixion, there was an actual witnesses by a multitude of people that saw him get beat to a pulp, where his own physical nature wasn't recognized anymore, and that he was put into a tomb, and on the third day he resurrected. So
That's fine, but you see, I have Daniel, Wayne, and Silent Tranquility who all recorded me flying up to the sky and live streaming it. Are you gonna believe I'm a god now?
I mean, with AI right now, no.
Yeah, exactly. So just because someone makes a claim doesn't make it true, right?
I mean, like I said, right there, you're just trying to find a way to get out of the concept of even.
I'm not trying to get
Because
out
if
of
we're going
anything.
to,
I'm pointing out to something that is very true, and even you are tacitly admitting. Just because someone claims something doesn't make it true. And we're talking about a 2,000-year-old book. None of us can go back in time. So you cannot verify that this actually happened. No, none of us can.
okay, if we can go with prophecy. I would go with Isaiah 53.
Isaiah
It
53 is about
prophesies
Israel, not Jesus.
where it says that he will be bruised for our transgressions.
That's about Israel.
If I present Isaiah 53 to somebody that's without knowing what quote unquote it represents, if I read it to them, more than likely they would claim it was Jesus.
No, they won't.
That's something I want you to do that and ask somebody out of nowhere in the street, read Isaiah 53 to them and ask them who does it represent,
They're
and see what you get from it.
they're not gonna know if they know nothing about the Bible. They're just gonna look at me and be like, I don't know who that's supposed to represent.
All right, just try it. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But if I'm right, you should look into it.
You realize that scholars, biblical scholars, have actually looked into this text, and they will tell you that this is about a personification of Israel. It's not about Jesus. Besides that, like, prophecies are very, very vague. Like, who cares? I can make a prophecy right now. It's going to there's going to be a hurricane in Florida in 25 years. I just made a prophecy.
No, but if you go based on Isaiah 53, there were stipulations and there were a certain amount of things that happened accordingly, and it fell into place in a way that it's practical.
And it's personifying Israel. So if you look at Isaiah 42, 43, 44, 45, all those chapters, even chapters after Isaiah 53, you would see that it's personifying Israel. But 53 has to be about Jesus and not Israel. Why would they do that?
Okay, I would go with Abraham and Isaac.
What about them?
If you know the biblical story, is God commanded Abraham to go sacrifice his son on the mountaintop. And then God stopped them and said, I will provide sacrifice. And a ram appeared. It's foreshadowing what was going to happen through Christ.
Yeah, in the Iliad, during the Battle of Troy, Zeus came down and intervened in the battle.
I can give you the Passover too.
Bro. Hold on. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. These are all just stories in a book. They don't mean anything. Well, I'll correct myself. They could mean something allegorical and metaphorical, just like how Little Red Riding Hood is about a woman being on her period, right? So, like, all these stories could mean something allegorical, but does that mean that these are actual true stories that actually happened, and how do you verify it?
Okay, so the alternative is to become a nihilist and
No, it's
see
not.
everything through a dim lens, and there everything is pointless and there is no hope.
I mean, just because everything is pointless doesn't mean there's no hope.
Well, that's the way I used to see things.
All right,
in a nihilist perspective.
And it doesn't mean that everything is pointless either. It doesn't mean that everything is pointless. Like, I can, for example, I know that in my worldview, right? Is there some objective, ultimate point or purpose to all this? No, the universe doesn't give a shit about me. That's fine though, because I can make my own point. I can make my own purpose. Why can't I do that?
Because it leads to futility.
Why would it lead to futility? Because everything that I'm doing is in service to making sure that other people's lives live well. How's that futile?
No, because that's it would be we're already seeing it right now in the we already live in an atheism dystopian generation.
No, we don't.
Everything is
The majority of people are Christian.
No.
Yes.
We're becoming a subjective rather than an objective society. Meaning that
you can't show anything you can't show an objective moral standard anyway.
The objective moral standard is that we know that to murder is evil. That would be objective. When we start blurring the lines, that's where it starts becoming subjective.
Everything's already subjective. Even if your God exists, things would still be subjective because it's subject to him.
No, because objective means that there would be something that puts everything into motion. A subjective.
Okay, so morality exists without God then.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, so morality depends on God.
Because if we would go back to survival of the fittest.
Hold on. Let me just understand this. Does morality depend on God or not?
Yes.
Okay, so it's subjective because it depends on the mind of God.
No, I don't.
You just said, I just asked you, does morality depend on God? You said yes. That makes it subjective because it's dependent on the mind of God. If God were to say torturing babies is fine, that would be moral, because you just said morality depends on God. If it doesn't depend on God, then morality is art. The morality doesn't then God is not a requirement for morality, and we can make our own, which will still make it subjective. Either way, it's subjective. How do we get to how do we get to these stories actually being true? Because if we don't believe in these stories, that doesn't mean that everything is now hopeless and everything is now shitty and we all should just, wallow and die. It doesn't mean that at all, because I'm not like that at all. So obviously, that's not necessarily true, is it?
Well, a lot of people do take that kind of mindset though.
So
People
it's
become
not necessarily
nihilists.
true.
No,
Just because,
I'm being,
I'm a nihilist as well. I'm a nihilist. That everything is pointless, right? But that doesn't mean that I can't make my own point. There is no objective
no,
point.
but that's why a lot of people unalive themselves, because they feel like they're being either a load on other people, or they feel like there's no point in life.
But that's not because they don't believe in God anymore. It's not because of that.
No, it's because they just, well, that's what happens with atheism, actually.
Yeah,
Because
people. No, it's not. So, like atheists, becoming an atheist doesn't make you more suicidal. That's dumb. People become suicidal because of things like hopelessness, things like depression, things like non-acceptance, things like stress, things like trauma. I was in the military. A lot of people committed suicide due to the trauma, not because they had no hope and they didn't believe in God anymore. Like, suicide is a lot more complicated than this. Like, I've always found this to be like a really silly point, where people say if you don't believe in God, you'll wallow in despair and become suicidal, when literally atheists are not majority suicidal, right? Obviously, because I'm still here, right?
I don't know, you might have like, it might be your children or somebody else that you have, that either impulses you to keep on living. That you see them, and you want to protect them from the evils of the world. So
Yeah,
you found something to
keep on
protect,
living.
or want to protect. But there's other people that don't get that.
Right,
They don't
and
have
that's
that in
not
their life,
necessarily
and then
because
they
they don't
become
believe in a God
hopeless,
anymore, right?
and they go in a down spiral.
Yeah, I
That's
understand
what
that.
happens.
Right. Hold on. Beyond, I understand that, but that doesn't happen necessarily because they don't believe in a God anymore. Otherwise, atheists will be the number one demographic committing suicide, and we're not.
The issue is that they promote that in schools.
We don't promote
They
suicide in
promote
school. What are you talking
no,
about?
they promote that you come from goo. So when they like
Who says you come from
most
goo?
of
What are you talking about?
they didn't teach you that in evolution, when they were teaching
Evolution
evolution,
doesn't mean you
that
come
you
from
come from
goo.
a rock.
Evolution doesn't mean you come from a
Yeah,
rock.
yeah, you came from a rock. They
It doesn't
came
say
from
that.
outer space,
No, it doesn't
and
say
then
that. You're talking about
microbes.
panspermia. That doesn't say that. You're talking about abiogenesis. That's different from evolution. Evolution starts with life. It is not talking about the origin of life. And just because, like, let's say we were to take your thing let's say we were to actually accept what you're saying, right? Okay, you say we came from goo. So it doesn't make you suicidal. Still a human being, you still have emotions. Because you came from
No,
goo, that means you don't matter anymore. That's dumb. No one says that.
the biblical framework says
You come
that
from dirt.
you were created. No, yeah, you're from dirt, but
Yeah.
God
So
created
how's it
you in the
different
image
from
of
goo?
God.
This is dumb.
Because when God breathed into the lung of Adam, he 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 created them in the image of God. So we were made for a higher purpose.
Wait, how
There's
do
a
you know
higher
that?
purpose.
Wait, how do you know that?
Because it says in the Bible that we were
Yeah, but
created.
so what? So what? The Bible says a lot of things. So,
No, but you're asking me how do I know this, right?
but you don't know it. You're just repeating what the Bible says. That doesn't mean you know it.
No, but it tells us that we're
I
we're to
understand that's what the
rule
Bible
over
says. I'm
the
actually, how do you
creation,
actually know that's true?
because because I had a personal relationship with God. I was in the dumps and I cried out to God, and God showed me that He was real.
Yeah,
But that's
I'm
subjective to
glad
me.
that
I can't force you.
I'm glad that you're a lot better. That's all good and well. I really am happy that you're not in the dumps anymore. That's wonderful, right? That's great. Doesn't make God true.
That would be a subjective thing to me. I
Yeah.
can't force that out upon
Yeah,
you.
that is
Yeah,
subjective.
everybody has their own.
Yeah, that's very subjective. Yes.
But that's why I'm saying I'm giving you what my personal viewpoint was before I became a Christian. So yeah, that
Okay,
just
so your personal
my
viewpoint before you became a Christian was that you had hopelessness and depression. All right.
yeah.
I'm not a Christian and I don't have hopelessness or depression. So how do you explain that?
Like I said, you have something else that anchors you. You have your family or whatever. Other
Yeah.
people don't have that anchor.
Okay,
So
so the
that in
people
itself is a blessing.
so the people who don't have that anchor, don't they find that?
Some do and some don't.
Yeah,
Depends.
it depends
Some
exactly.
people
So it doesn't depend on what you believe, does it? It depends on your community. And you can find community without believing in a God, right? My point in pointing this out is that not believing in a God doesn't necessarily lead to anything that you're saying. What leads to what you're saying is lack of community, lack of acceptance. That's what leads to what you're saying.
there's a void that only God can fill.
I don't have a void. What void do you think I
Only
have?
God. I don't know. Only God knows whatever void.
So why
Because
would you
people,
claim that there's a void that only God can fill if you don't know if I have a void or not?
because God is only.
Okay, so what's the void I have?
There's something that everybody else is. The reason why you have this is because you're seeking out the truth. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this life or even promote this
No,
life. You're seeking for something
I have this
greater than
live. I
yourself.
have this live in order to discuss with other people this subject because it actually affects our lives. That's what I have this live for. You really shouldn't assume why I do these. It's not
Well,
fair
I
to
can't.
assume, right?
It's a inference.
Right. It's an inference from nothing. You're just assuming that I'm doing this live because I want to believe in God for some reason. It's not why I do it.
And
Yeah,
why do you do it?
I told you why I do it. These beliefs actually affect our lives. So I want to
Okay,
discuss it and help people deconstruct.
why? Because you hate the God of the Bible, or is because I don't get it.
Why do you
harm does it
assume?
come to
Why do
you?
you assume? Why do you assume that I hate something that I don't think exists?
Because you're saying this. Most people that deconstruct is because either they became church hurt or something happened to them in
Wrong.
a church assembly.
Wrong.
I'm not saying it's your. I'm not saying that happened to you personally. I'm just saying that most people that's why
And I'm
they
saying that's
they
wrong. That's not why most people deconstruct. But most people deconstruct. That's part of it. That can happen. You know what I mean? And that shouldn't be minimized. If someone got hurt in the church and they started to deconstruct their deconstruction journey from there, that is valid. Because if you're in part of a community that is supposed to be uplifting a certain standard, and that community not only does not uphold that standard but hurts you, it's completely valid to ask yourself, why are you part of that community in the first place? That's valid, right?
I'm
But
not
that's not the
saying
reason. Hold on, but that's not the reason most people deconstruct. Most people deconstruct because of other reasons. They either ran into an issue of they're not sure why they believe this anymore, or they run into the crisis of faith, not just because they were hurt.
well, there's not an issue with asking questions. The whoever says that you can't ask questions and they're a true believer. That's how I became a believer because I question God. I ask questions to God all the time. So that's not an issue. Whoever says that you can't question God is lying to you.
Okay, so
If
you
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 humble,
so you asked questions, but you never asked what is the evidence that Adam and Eve is actually true? You never asked that.
I never asked God that.
Why
I
not?
never did that because I took it by faith. I asked God about other questions.
So
I
you
asked
you
God
never
about
actually questioned it then. because these are fundamental things, right? The fall of mankind is fundamental to Christianity, and you never actually
Yes.
ask if it's actually true.
Genesis 1 and 2. If like I said, what I asked questions
Right, right.
about
I
was
understand
Christ
Genesis 1 and 2. What I'm
beforehand.
asking you, I want to ask you is, have you actually questioned if whether what that says is actually true? Have you ever questioned that? Because if you never have, you never actually
I haven't
questioned.
questioned that, but I have no issue with questioning that.
Okay, so yeah, you
It's
should
not a
question
problem.
that. You should question if Adam and Eve is actually true, because there's no evidence for that being true.
But you do understand why there's no evidence for that, right? Or no?
Because it's not true.
In
No.
Islam,
Okay.
it's true.
God took them out of the garden
Where's
because of
where's the garden
they
supposed to be?
fell.
Where's the garden supposed to be?
Between there's four rivers, the Euphrates, and then there's the other ones.
Mhm.
I don't remember the other ones, but it clearly states that he put an angel as a guard, and he's at guard there at all times.
Right. So when we go to the area where these four rivers meet, what do we find?
We don't say nothing.
Right. So why
Just
we
'cause
believe it's true?
During the flood and everything, I don't know what happened after the flood, or what happened to the tree, or where if it's even hidden from the eyes of man.
Why would we
by-
believe? Why we believe that the flood is true? What evidence do we have of the flood?
Because there's evidence on the top of mountains where there's seashells and there's other things on top of mountains that otherwise would be impossible for that to happen.
You ever heard of plate tectonics?
Yeah,
There you go.
where the
Tectonic plates. We know tectonic
yeah
plates
they,
exist.
they go underneath itself, and then
Yeah,
the
they go.
mountains up.
They either go underneath and the mountains go up. Yeah, exactly. So, wait a minute. So you know this already. So we find seashells on mountains because it's tectonic plates. There you go.
Yeah.
So the flood
Okay,
probably isn't
so-
true either.
The Grand Canyon.
What
Where
about
the what do you mean? The way it was created after the flood came and that it eroded the Grand Canyon and it eroded other areas.
There's no evidence of that.
But there's no evidence contrary to that.
Yes, there is. The
So you
Colorado
think
River. The Colorado River cuts through a valley. We know how valleys are created. They're created through rivers.
Okay, but it was at a magnitude of it wasn't, bro. The Grand
The
Canyon.
Grand Canyon was created over the process of millions of years. You can ask any geologist.
That don't make sense. But that don't make.
No, it makes plenty of sense. Have you ever spoken to a geologist? Do you know how rivers form and cut through rock and cut through valleys?
Yeah, over time.
Yeah, over time, exactly. So, if you studied geology before, then you know that the Grand Canyon being created through the Colorado River over the course of millions of years makes lots of sense.
Okay, but the inverse could be also true. There's
No, because there's
saying
no
that
evidence
that
of the
couldn't
inverse.
be.
There's no evidence of the flood.
They literally found the
They did not.
the ark.
They did not.
I'm pretty sure they did, but I need.
They
to,
did
I
not.
need to look into
I'm
it.
telling you, they did not. If you Google that right now, it's gonna say they didn't find that. I'm telling you. And this is another thing that a lot of Christians do. Y'all hear something from other Christians and y'all just trust it. Don't
Oh, I
just
gotta
trust
look
it.
into it.
The great
I gotta
fathers
look into
mentioned in Islam too. By the way.
Yeah, I know it's in Islam. Give me a second. So yeah, when you say you gotta look into it, my question then would be, why didn't you look into it when you heard about it?
Because I had no reason to question it. But that's just me.
Of course, you had a
Well,
reason
I
to
had
question
questions
it.
about with other things.
People could be wrong, right?
Yeah.
That's a reason to question
Yeah,
it.
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, that's a reason to question it. Don't just believe something because
the-
somebody said it. Like that's a problem. Like for example, if I were to tell you that I have $10 billion in Nassau, Bahamas, quit your job and meet me over there so I can give you half the money, are you gonna do it because I said so?
Nah.
Yeah, exactly. Because people could lie, bro. Don't just believe something because someone said it. Yeah, man. Never do that. You smarter than that, bro.
No, the scripture says to test the spirits and test the person that is talking to you. So actually, it's even in the scripture. You know what it says, that if the resurrection of Christ isn't real, then our faith is baseless. So Paul himself tells us to question our faith.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
so
So,
I have no issue with it.
right. So, have you ever questioned whether Jesus actually rose from the dead or not? And what
Yeah.
evidence is there of that?
I mean, there's evidence by the Gospels, and there's evidence
Those are
historians that are
those are
outside of the
claims.
church.
Those are claims. And historians only say that he existed. It doesn't say he resurrected.
Okay, so who in the right mind would be willing to be put to unalivement by people for a faith for something that they didn't believe that actually happened?
No,
Because
I
according to
agree.
the
I agree. They believe that actually happened.
because
People die for
according to the gospel,
right. Hold on. Listen.
according to the gospel,
People
when the
people
crucifixion.
yeah. People die for things that they believe are true all the time. I'm not saying that
Okay,
they thought it was wrong. They did think it was true.
because during the crucifixion, even Peter was afraid and afraid and scared. Even when there was a little girl that showed up to Peter and said, "Aren't you one of the followers of Christ?" And he
And
even
he denied
cursed
him
at
three
her.
times. Yeah. So yeah, I know the story. But what I'm saying is that I have no doubt that the people who got martyred for Christ truly believed that he rose from the dead. That's not. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, they really did believe that. There are also people who got martyred for Joseph Smith and in Mormonism. Are you a
Yeah,
Mormon?
but the Mormons have there's no archaeological proof of that they said that that Jesus came to North America and that
And
there
there's no
was
archaeological
a
proof of
whole
that.
war.
Exactly. No, of
There
course. Yeah,
was
yeah. I
no
agree. I agree. There is no archaeological evidence that Jesus came to America. There's also no archaeological evidence that he rose from the dead.
like I said, one of the major proponents of mine is that Peter denying Christ and didn't believe in Christ, and then afterwards he's he was willing to be put on an upside down cross and to be martyred for the cause of Christ. So there was a radical change. Something happened that made him change his mind completely.
Right. People change their minds all the time and truly believe in things all the time. Like I'm not arguing that they didn't believe this anymore. They believed it. That doesn't mean that their belief was actually true. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So what do you think happened? Like a massive psychosis, a major like hallucinate?
Yeah,
They were hallucinating the whole thing, or what?
probably a what's that called? A not sorrow. One thing when people get sad. Yeah, probably a post death delusion. That does happen all the time. Like for example, after I've had a friend of mine that passed away when I was 19. Right, I actually heard his voice in my head, like the day after he died. I knew he was dead, but like I actually heard his voice. You know what I mean? Like I could hear him calling me. Like my nickname growing up was Brain, right? So I actually heard him saying, "Yo, Brain." Not turned around. And I'm like, I just heard Kevin. You know what I mean? Like I just heard him. Like I literally heard him auditory in my head. That happens.
Yeah.
After my grandma passed away, I had a dream that I saw her. And it was a very vivid dream too. Like I thought that she was right there until I woke up. So any of these could have happened. These are ancient cultures, right? So any of them could have had that. And not only that, the one who reported that Jesus was alive again, wasn't it James or Mary, one of them? Any of them could have had a post death delusion. Either heard Jesus or saw him in a dream and thought that he resurrected.
Well, according to the biblical account, there were like three women that went to the tomb, and
Mm-hmm.
the stone was rolled, and there was a military guy and everything
Mm-hmm.
there, and there was an angel, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then there was
number
an empty tomb.
yeah, and number one, Romans didn't put the people that they crucified in tombs that almost never happened. They put them in mass graves. But the second thing is that each of those stories were contradict each other. One has one guard, one has an angel on standing on a rock, one has two angels, one has the guard inside. One it was in the morning, another one was at night, another one was at twilight. Like these are all separate, completely different details. So which one of them are right?
I don't know. I would look into it.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Beyond, we're all out of time, but I do appreciate you being here, and you have a great night. All right.
All right, take care.
All right.
Have a nice evening.
All right, guys. I think this is going to be my last one. SDSP. SD, you're gonna be my last one, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually get out of here. I appreciate everyone being here. We did get to 11K likes. I'm gonna move on probably to another live or just chill after this and go to bed. All right, SD, how's it going? Are you at least 18? And do you think you could give me a good reason to believe in a God?
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna be quick. So, yes, I'm 25. Believing in God. Yes, you should.
Sure, why?
As a grown man, you should have a job. So it goes same with humans. God created you to worship Him. So that's why you should believe in God.
Okay, cool. You're skipping a step. You actually have to show a God exists first. How can you show that?
You mean physical existence?
Whatever type of evidence you have of one. Well, something that's testable, repeatable, that's demonstrable. Anything?
No. Physically, no. But I have a message to tell and spread, which is Him, worshiping Him.
Okay, so you simply saying that God exists is the reason I should believe God exists?
Yes.
Right.
Not only that, you should believe.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I do appreciate y'all being up. You guys are wonderful. I'm gonna get out of here this time. I know I was supposed to leave earlier, but this time I'm actually gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys are amazing, wonderful. Got me to 11K likes. I'm gonna try to go ahead and we're gonna try to go ahead and get to 20K tomorrow. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Remember to remain smart, observant. Remember your fallibility and thoughtfulness. All right, you guys are amazing. Have a good night. Peace.